A blessed day, everyone. We are going to talk about the woman. But for those who haven't watched our video named Eden Found, may I suggest to watch it first in order you to have a view or idea what we are going to discuss. You may heard a lot of teachings regarding the woman in Genesis chapter 2. You might wonder, but we want to share our thoughts, ideas in a manner that may gives you idea who really was the woman. Here's the title of we are going to talk about. The rib taken from the man was made into a woman in Genesis chapter 2 verses 21 to 23. In Genesis chapter 2 21 to 22, New World Translation version. So Yahweh Elohim caused the man to fall into a deep sleep, and while he was sleeping, he took one of his ribs and then closed up the flesh over its place, and Yahweh Elohim built the rib that he had taken from the man into a woman, and he brought her to the man. According to what we read, Yahweh Elohim brought the man to Eden to sleep, and he took a rib. Who was the man brought to Eden? What we know according to our teaching since then, that person is Adam, and he is a man. Adam, from the Hebrew word Adam, it has a translations in our language, earth. According to Genesis chapter 1 verse 26 to 27, Adam, earth, was made by Elohim in his image, and he was made male and female. Let's read in Genesis chapter 1 verses 26 to 27, OJB version. And Elohim said, "Let us make man in our chilim, after our demot, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth." Verse 27. So Elohim created humankind in his own chilim. In the chilim, Elohim, made of image of Elohim, created he him. Shakar, male, and Nekeva, female, created he them. According to that verse, we can understand that the word Adam does not refer to a man. However, it refers to two types of people, namely male and female, that were created together by Elohim. So in Genesis chapter 1 verse 27, again OJB version, so Elohim created humankind in his own chilim. In the chilim, Elohim, image of Elohim, created he him. Shakar, male, and Nekeva, female, created he them. The Hebrew word shakar translated into male. The Hebrew word nekeva is translated female. So it is clear that the word Adam that can be read in Genesis chapter 2 does not mean that he is only a man. However, the word Adam means the whole of mankind, male and female. Because the story of Genesis chapter 1 verse 27 does not specify how many pairs it is. Instead, it gives the view that not only one pair was created by Elohim. In Genesis chapter 2 verse 18, New World Translation version, then Yahweh said, "It is not good for the man to continue to be alone. I am going to make a helper for him, as a complement of him." The Creator saw that it is not good for Adam or mankind to be alone, which means there should be cooperation with each other. Let's read in Genesis chapter 2 verses 19 to 20, New World Translation Version. Verse 19. Now Yahweh had been forming from the ground every wild animal of the field and every flying creatures of the heavens. And he began bringing them to the man to see what he would call each one. And whatever the man would call each living creature, that became its name. Verse 20. So the man named all the domestic animals and the flying creatures of the heavens and every wild animal of the field. But for man, there is no helper as a complement of him. The next story is that the Creator made an animal from the earth, but we already know after the Elohim made all the animals in Genesis chapter 1 verses 24 to 25. Let's read Genesis chapter 1 verse 24 to 25, New World Translation Version. Verse 24. Then Elohim said, "Let the earth bring forth living creatures according to their kinds, domestic animals and creeping animals and wild animals of the earth according to their kinds." And it was so. Verse 25. And Elohim went on to make the wild animals of the earth according to their kinds, and the domestic animals according to their kinds, and all the creeping animals of the ground according to their kinds. And Elohim saw that it was good. Did Elohim create other animals in chapter 2? No. However, it is possible that what is meant in the narrative of verse 19 to 20, Elohim made it through the event of time that wild and non-wild animals will be helpers of Adam, mankind. Through the wisdom that is in Adam, mankind, entrusted to the Creator as Adam, the mankind, he made it in his image, and giving Adam, the mankind, a name to all kinds of animals means the ability of people to train or to teach any animal using wisdom. In Genesis chapter 2 verse 20, again, let's read New World Translation Version. So the man named all the domestic animals and the flying creatures of the heavens and every wild animal of the field. But for man there was no helper as a complement of him. What does the phrase, "but for man there was no helper as a complement of him," mean? It refers to a marriage that is united until death. We can read in Hebrews 13 verse 4, "Let marriage be honorable among all, and let the marriage bed be without defilement, for Yahweh will judge sexually immoral people and adulterers." In Genesis chapter 2, verse 21 to 22, New World Translation Version. Verse 21. So Yahweh Elohim caused the man to fall into a deep sleep. And while he was sleeping, he took one of his ribs and then closed up the flesh over its place. And Yahweh Elohim built the rib that he had taken from the man into a woman, and he brought her to the man. Now let's give an equivalent word to the terms that we have already looked at. Adam, which means mankind, male and female. In Genesis chapter 1, verses 26 to 27. Fall into a deep sleep, it means forgotten. Sleeping means forgot. In Judges 16 verse 19, New World Translation Version, she made him fall asleep on her knees. Then she called the man, and he had him shave off the 7 braids of his head. After she began to have control over him, for his power was leaving him. The point of being put to sleep means forgetting his feelings. Ribs, children. The ribs have the function of protecting the rib cage. They are like bars of the heart. The ribs symbolize the family members' family tree. Upper ribs, T1, 2, 3, and 4, they symbolize descending like parents, grandparents, great-grandparents. Central ribs, T5, 6, 7, and 8, they represent the collateral brothers, cousin, and etc. Lower ribs, T9, 10, 11, and 12, they represent descendants, children, and grandchildren. You can find this in, there was a mention about flesh. So flesh is called sensual. Flesh, mortal consciousness expressing itself through appetite. It is overcome by denying that appetite is physical and by affirming it to be spiritual. Flesh, carnal or sensual, are malformations of the substance idea of being. It must be transformed by right conception of divine perfections before the mortal can put on the immortal. So here, Adam means man, mankind, male and female, refers to the whole humanity. Fall into a deep sleep, forgotten. Sleeping, forgot. Ribs, children. Flesh, sensual. Now, here are the equivalent words of the term that we believe to be equivalent. Let's put in a place this word to verses 21 to 22 so that we can understand what is this event means. So in Genesis chapter 2 verse 21 to 22, New World Translation version, verse 21. So Yahweh Elohim caused the mankind, to fall into a deep sleep, forgotten. And while he was sleeping, forgot, he took one of his ribs, children, and then closed off the flesh, sensual, over its place. And Yahweh Elohim built the rib, child, that he had taken from the mankind, into a woman, and he brought her to the mankind. The meaning of this event is that Yahweh Elohim forged a system or a behavior in the minds of the people, which is marriage. Now, let's go to our conclusion. We believe that most people have misunderstood the word the rib was made a woman. In the Hebrew word made Isha, it does not mean a woman, because in the beginning the woman was already there when man was made in Genesis chapter 1 verse 27. However, the word the rib is made Isha. It means that a daughter of the people will become a wife through the law forged by the Creator in every mind, and it becomes an inherited behavior that is called marriage. Therefore, Yahweh Elohim did not create another woman, Eve, in Genesis chapter 2. However, this is where the law of marriage began. So let's read Genesis chapter 2 verse 23 to 25, New World Translation version. Then the man said, "This is at last bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. This one will be called a woman, because from man she was taken. This is why a man will leave his father and his mother, and he will stick to his wife, and they will become one flesh. And both of them continued to be naked. the man and his wife, yet they were not ashamed. And now, it's very clear that there was no first couple and second couple. And in chapter 2, it is very clear that this is purely talking about marriage. And shalom everyone. Thank you.